February 5th, 2013 Bellevue Borough Council, pre-council meeting. This meeting will come to order, and if you could shut off your phones in consideration of others in the room. And again, I apologize for the delay in getting started this evening. Could you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Braunlich. Here. Councilman Camello. Absent. Councilwoman Coder. Absent. Councilwoman Heffley.
Here.
Councilman Helbling.
Here.
Councilman Scisciani.
Here.
Councilwoman Viscusi.
Here.
Councilman Viscusi.
Here.
President Woshner.
Here.
Mayor Doscher. Absent. Solicitor McGrail.
Here. Okay. Are there any visitors who wish to speak? If you could step up to the podium, state your name and address, and write it on the register. You would have 5 minutes at the beginning of the meeting, and if you so choose, you can wait until towards the end of the meeting, and you will have another 2 minutes. Are there any visitors who wish to speak? Okay. Thank you for coming this evening. Are there any questions or concerns about the minutes? Jane?
Yeah, in public safety there was just two. One was seconded by Mr. Helbling. He's not on public safety, so I don't know who was seconded by.
It was me, but I had already corrected that.
Okay, and then the other one was when we made the motion to bring to council the UCC. Just said I made the motion without a second. The last page.
Can you check that on other minutes, because that was on other minutes as well, that it stated that we were going to make a motion, but it didn't show a second. So that it was approved by the committee. So just a small. Any other questions or concerns concerning the minutes? Reports. Our treasurer, is he here this evening? No. John, are you going to give a report today? You're not on the agenda.
Not a report, but there are items on the agenda that you may have questions for me on, so I'll be available for that.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay. Any administration reports? What do you have anything?
I included in council packets a written report towards the end of the packet. There are a few items that I have just for informational purposes. There are what we suspect to be broken lateral lines throughout the town. So we sent 3 letters to property owners. One, I believe, is in the process of getting fixed already. All the letters were reviewed by the solicitor before we sent them out. We have a contract right now with Triangle Pet and an invoice. So I'm going to ask that the solicitor review our contract letter before we pay this invoice. So I will be sending that along. There's a request for a tax payment refund for a resident at 24 South Bryant Avenue. And the background that I have on this is that there was the tax bill was lost in the mail, essentially, and they paid the face value of the tax or attempted to pay the face value of the tax to the tax collector after. So there's a penalty that's been assessed, and this homeowner has been forwarded to Jordan for delinquency. So I guess he came to council in the past and was not given an answer as to whether or not he could pay it face or if he is going to be delinquent. His name is Thomas Kelly, and a copy of the correspondence is in your packet, so I need some direction from council for that. And there's a couple of other items on the agenda which we can talk about. We have to get some funding extensions and things like that. But when we get to those particular items, I can talk a little bit more in depth about those.
What can we do about the delinquent, not getting the bill or the tax bill?
You know, the bottom line from a legal point of view is that if it's not paid on time, then, you know, no special arrangements can be made. Now, if you have made exception in the past, if people are able to prove that in one certain month they didn't get it and exceptions have been made, then I would suggest what you do in this case is look to see if there are prior delinquencies, which may indicate that, you know, this isn't a one-time situation, and just determine, you know, the track record of the taxpayer. But you're not required to make an exception, but I would want to treat this taxpayer the way you treated others. So just be consistent.
I do not believe that we have ever made an exception. Jim, do you remember anything?
No, I ran across the same problem. He had a $100 fee added on.
Another resident.
It was another resident, yeah. And with the solicitor's advice, would you advise just paying it and then, so it doesn't really become delinquent?
Well, that is exactly right, Jim. You know, the tax collector, your delinquent tax collector is charged with treating everybody exactly the same. And if those time periods are not met almost electronically, liens are going to be filed, additional fees are going to be assessed. So I would just suggest that, you know, that you respond that, you know, we don't make exceptions. It's an unfortunate situation that this happened, but he should take care of it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I've never known us to make an exception on that. Mark, you've been around for a while. Jim, you've been around for a while. Do you remember any? I know I don't.
I know, not us. I don't know any other us.
Okay.
I would think that if they didn't receive the statement, and they received this late letter of delinquent, and they paid it, it was a fee, then the fee should be negotiable. Because it's really not their fault. There may be others out there in the same position.
Well, I do know in that situation, they would be negotiating with Jordan directly,
That's
not with
exactly
the borough.
That's exactly right. Based on a resolution or ordinance that you've adopted, you authorize Jordan to assess a $100 fee. It's Jordan's fee to weigh or not. I will tell you that I think you need to be consistent, and I think Jordan needs to be consistent.
I agree. That's the end of my report.
Okay. Any questions for our interim borough manager? Thank you. Any council reports? Our committee chair reports of finance. Sue Viscusi, chair of finance.
Okay, the first motion I have is I move to ratify an extended contract with Public Partners LLC at a cost not to exceed $350 per month to include Borough Manager search services. And that's for action on 2/12.
Any questions concerning that? Whitney, did we actually get the contract on that yet?
Okay, we actually just got it today. It's been uploaded to the shared drive. It's not on SharePoint just yet. But I do have one copy here, and then I'll include all the final items for action in your packet, so everybody will have this for the next meeting.
Okay, I talked to Public Partners, Jerry, and one of the things he told me, it wasn't $350 per month, it was $350 for 5 hours. So I think we need to look at the contract before the 12th. And one of the things I told him, that we want to minimize our costs, because then it'll start to, you know, increase. So my suggestion was, and Sue and Jim, who are in finance and will be part of this, that we can look through the resumes, get those that we feel are qualified, and then they can put it onto a spreadsheet. They can do that because they've got a program for it, and then have them assist us in the interview. So, but I thought, first of all, we can look over the resumes and weed out, because we got 30-something resumes, so that we can weed out, and it would minimize the time that they would have to spend. So, okay. So, because we're going to be discussing this at the finance meeting, so if we can be prepared at the finance meeting. He also suggested we do take late applications. violations, and I would agree, particularly if they're very qualified, so, even though the 19th is the deadline. Next one?
Okay. Next one, I move to approve the January 2013 invoice from Connect at a cost not to exceed $607.
Any questions on that? Okay, next one.
Next one, I move to authorize the Code Enforcement Department to assemble a project and application to the Local Gov't Academy 2013 Municipal Intern Program at a 50% split cost to be determined upon project commencement.
Any questions or comments on that? Well, me personally, what I'd like to see happen if we get the municipal intern for the summer would be for this particular intern to walk along the streets of Bellevue, pick out those properties that are in disrepair, put them on an Excel spreadsheet, and then have continual follow-ups until we can encourage these people either to fix up their properties or cite them, whatever we have to do. So, now that's for the 12th. Don't we have, isn't the deadline the 8th on this?
Friday, yes.
So I believe that we would have to vote on this tonight. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to apply. And I personally believe this will be a really good help to Jim. I mean, this is one less thing that he has to do.
Okay. So, I make a motion to authorize the Code Enforcement Department to assemble a project and application to the Local Gov't Academy 2013 Municipal Intern Program at a 50% split cost to be determined upon the project commencement.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to authorize the Code Enforcement Department to assemble a project and application to the Local Gov't Academy for 2013 Municipal Intern Program at a 50% split cost to be determined upon project commencement. Discussion on the motion? Okay, what this is I mean, we're getting someone for half the cost. I believe an undergraduate is $10 an hour, a graduate is $11 an hour, and we would be paying half of that.
That's correct.
Was that correct? Okay.
The application's already, I'm already working on the application now. Have it submitted by Friday to the Gov't Academy.
Good job. Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Nays? Well, do we have to roll call because it concerns money? Roll call.
Everyone's spending it right now?
No, so we don't have
So
to.
you're moving forward the application process.
That's correct.
Okay, so there were no nays? Okay, thank you. Next one.
Okay, I move to approve the October 2012 invoice from the Civil and Environmental Consultants for CD 37.2.2.5 in the amount of $975 for Business District Streetscape Design Project as administered by the Quaker Valley Council of Governments.
Do we have a second on that?
That's for tonight.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to approve the October 12th invoice from Civil and Environmental Consultants for CD 372.25 in the amount of $975 for the Business District Streetscape Design Project administered by the Quaker Valley Council of Governments. Discussion on the motion. I thought Doug had told us we were up to date on our payments. Have you checked with our financial person to make sure that this hasn't been made?
John Tequila from Quaker Valley Club sent this to me at the end of January. So my understanding in speaking with him last week is that this is an invoice that needs to be paid.
Okay. I mean, then after we vote on this, could you check with our financial person just to make sure?
I thought we were up to date with, it was my understanding that we were up to date with all of this.
Well, just to ensure, no, we should, I thought so too, but it's pretty late, so. Okay, no other discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? Roll call please.
Councilwoman Braunlich.
Aye.
Councilwoman Heffley. Councilman Helbling.
Aye.
Councilman Scisciani.
Aye.
Councilwoman Viscusi. Councilman Viscusi. Is that 9? President Woshner.
any other questions for our Chair of Finance? Thank you, Sue. And Parks and Recreation, Jim's the Chair of Parks and Recs, Jim Scisciani.
Two motions. Motion to approve a recommendation of pay application number 2 for CD 38-4.3 Bayne Park Project, Phase 2 to Spohn Rock on behalf of the Quaker Valley Council of Governments in an amount not to exceed $32,663.13.
$22,663.12.
I was going to remember it.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to recommend recommendation of pay application number 2 for CD 38-4.3 project phase 2 to Spohn Ranch on behalf of the Quaker Valley Council of Governments in an amount not to exceed $22,663.12. Discussion on the motion. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Heffley. Councilman Helbling. Councilman Scisciani. Councilman Viscusi. Councilman Viscusi. Councilwoman Braunlich. President Woshner.
Motion to approve recommendation of change order number 1 for town law to the Quaker Valley Council of Governments for the Bellevue Borough Escape Plaza Phase 2 project in an amount not to exceed $2,592.10 for additional site preparation work due to inadequate grade to elevation and additional required excavation.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made to approve recommendation of change order number 1 to Spohn Ranch to the Quaker Valley Council of Governments for the Bellevue Borough Escape Plaza Phase 2 project in the amount not to exceed $2,592.10 for additional site preparation work due to inadequate grade elevations and additional required excavation. Discussion on the motion. What happened? Why wasn't this done correctly the first time? Does anybody know? You know.
This is one of those items that I guess I'll have input on. With respect to the work that was being done, they are submitting a change order request for review because they think that the areas weren't brought to grade and they had to put in extra time. Because the borough is not the owner and the COG is the owner, we're pushing it through to the COG to let them determine whether or not it should be paid or reimbursed and where that reimbursement should come from. As with pay applications, the borough has to recommend and push it on. So we really have no choice to recommend to the owner that they act on this. There's no determination made as to whether or not this gets paid as of yet. The COG, as the owner of the project and who has a contract with Spohn Ranch, will make that determination. So we're pushing it up to them so that they can make that determination. To answer your question, whether it was done right or wrong, they said they needed to do extra work. They submitted the change order. We're going to determine whether or not they should get reimbursed for it through the COG.
How will that determination be made?
Well,
I mean, because it's going to be opinion against opinion.
well, and that's the nature of the contracts. It either is a change order request or it might result in paying after the project. I'd rather deal with this through the COG now than deal with the claim later on when they say, well, it's this money in the back end. So we can expect maybe another one of these to come through as well before everything else is closed. They had to come out here one more time from California to do some work. They had to have, I guess the subcontractor do some digging. County, if I recall, they said they spent more time on the job than they should. So there's a change order request and we're setting that to the COG for their review.
Where will the money come from?
That's going to be up to the COG. That's what I mean. They have to make that determination since they're the owner. We'll probably have some input on that. Because the recommendation, whether it's to move forward or not to move forward, would either be that it's money that should be paid for out of the contract through the funds that they have available through the COG or the grant, or the COG may say, We agree, and they may end up asking the borough to reimburse for that amount. Or there may be no payment at all.
Now, I mean, I was looking at this and questioning because I really don't like to vote on things or matters that come before us on pre-council.
Right.
And so I'm assuming that both of these had to be done tonight?
Right. The change order needs to be done so we can get that process through the COG as quickly as possible. If we waited a little longer, I mean, I wanted to get the pay application, which does not have a change order on it. And this change order in the process because they take a while to make a decision. Because my guess is that the COG's are going to have to go to the county and talk about this, call myself up or the DAS and talk about this, and then make a decision. It could very well go past the 12th or even into March. That's why I wanted to get this in front of council as soon as possible.
Okay, anyone else?
And again, it's not a recommendation to pay, it's a recommendation to move it forward for COG to make a determination.
I think that's what it's worth.
Okay, any other questions or comments from anyone else? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilman Helbling.
Aye.
Councilman Scisciani.
Aye.
Councilwoman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Braunlich. Councilwoman Heffley. President Woshner.
Aye. Any other questions for our Chair of Parks and Recs? Mark?
I see that Denise said the windows are leaky,
Yes.
so I like to come and check that out anyway. And two, I just want to mention that it took a long time. If you recall how hard it was getting bids for the pavement, it took a long time. I just received all the exact details today and final pricing. So what Tony and I would like to do, or anybody else, is just go make sure that it's exactly right. Because what they did originally was gave us something that was very, very close, but this one is exact to what they were. So I think it's $1,000 more than the 10,000. Is what it is to these
16.
Yeah, something like that. But
16 what?
It's $1,650 more.
So we'll have to review all that, and we'll just get back and tell you what, to make sure next week. I'm just bringing this up now so we can tell you again next week that everything matched up right and see what you want to do.
Because you know, for me, I have a problem with them not being exact.
Yes.
So I'm happy,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you
Vote
can.
on it tonight?
What?
Well, I think we should, I think we should go check them out.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
Okay, any other comments? Okay, thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
And Chair of Finance, Jane Braunlich. I'm sorry, sorry about that. Public Safety, Jane Braunlich. I was afraid that I was going to say Public Safety, Jim Viscusi, so that's kind of what was on my mind. Public Safety, Jane Braunlich.
Okay, I only have two motions, and then I have a couple questions on that. The one motion is to move the approval of purchase of software for SunGuard for the evidence room, not to exceed $13,017 for action next week. My first question on that is I need the line item where the money's coming from. I'd ask for public safety. And then the next one is the approval of the contract amendment of the firefighters for the health insurance. And that's for approval for next week. This wasn't brought up in public safety. I think this should have went to finance because it's health insurance. And I really think all council needs to see if there's any changes that were, or if this is exactly what they had negotiated. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I received a contract addendum from the firefighters, so I would assume that all of the agreed upon items that council's aware of, again, because I'm just coming in at the end of this. I'm under the impression that council's aware of the changes and that the firefighters also are on board in terms of them moving on to the borough's insurance.
Okay, we are going to have, and I failed to mention have an executive session concerning personnel issues, and I think maybe we need to discuss this contract at the executive session, because this is the first I'm hearing of it too. So I didn't know that we were that close to negotiations, and they didn't come back to us for our input on it. So well, we can discuss that in executive session. And any other comments or?
Yeah, there was one from the chief. We had discussed the no parking on Kendal Ave, and I just lost. I have the ordinance. And in his recommendation, he had thought he could not find anything on Kendal about no parking. So he had thought maybe council should pass a resolution directing the DPW to move parking areas. There are 4 in all. So if the chief wants to elaborate on what he thinks.
The parking areas that are across from the driveways, they've been there for a long time. And it was actually given me by council to take a look at that. And it's my recommendation, they are not needed.
Okay. And they're not in our ordinance, so we don't have.
They're not listed under the current parking ordinance.
Okay, so.
Is that something that you want to send back to public safety, or does everyone want to?
Well, this is why I put up this discussion at pre-council. This is why we're not having a discussion at pre-council. We did talk about it, obviously. The chief did give you the information that I needed. So that's what I'm letting you know, that this was his recommendation. They're not on the books, so we don't have to change the ordinance. And there are 4 that should be removed. Do we just make a motion to have time to remove them? Or does
We can just do it by motion. Can we put that on to our council agenda? And
Can you forward me that information?
I guess
I thought maybe it was a digital copy. Is it? Okay.
we do have it by email, but Chief, if you could forward that on.
Just so I'm clear, these are 4 spots that are across from someone's driveway that you're saying, and they're not able to park, they have enough room to get out. Okay.
It's Kendal Avenue.
Yeah.
And there's only parking on one side, so that when they're leaving, they've got lots of room to get out of the driveway.
Right, I got you, I understand.
And this will open up 4 more spots for the people on Kendal Avenue. I thought it was more than that, it was only 4. I think this will help Kendal Avenue because it's quite congested.
Okay, and my last one is, this is where I made a motion and it was seconded. I made a motion for, it was recommended by the Code Enforcement and the Fire Chief to accept the 2012 UCC code. It's the ununiform construction code. We've been going by 2009, so we should accept it every 3 years. I don't know why I didn't last year, but they have to make a fix in it because in the code it has an open burning ordinance. It says 25 feet. You cannot burn anything over 25 feet in your yard, and that's been on the books forever. So we have to fix it to make it go to our ordinance. And I guess it was supposed to go to the solicitor to fix that particular section. So.
Are you working on that, or was that something?
I don't know if I've received that.
If I may, I believe that was the International Fire Code brought up by our fire marshal. He wants that adopted as part of our Uniform Construction Code. Previous to that, he was having some problems as a fire marshal in his duties as enforcing some of the codes because we had not adopted the International Fire Code as a separate entity, which we were told we need to. Under the successor codes of the Uniform Construction Code, we can continue to roll on with 09. We can adopt 2012, which we will probably be doing in the next few months. And certainly we will be getting together to see what sort of addendums and additions need to be.
Whenever you want us to look at it.
Okay, any other questions or comments for public safety? Okay. Thank you, Jane. Public Works, Jim Viscusi, Chair of Public Works.
And 5 motions. I move to approve the 2013 sanitary sewer repair project proposal for engineering services from HRG for a lump sum fee of $22,000. including reasonable and customary reimbursable expenses for action on February 12th.
Okay, any questions or comments concerning that?
Okay. The second one is I move to approve the 2013 road program for engineering services from HRG for lump sum fee of $15,250, including reasonable and customary reimbursable expenses for February 12th.
Any other questions or comments concerning that?
Third one is I move to approve the purchase of a 2013 Ford F-550 from Day Automotive through the Shag-Hog Purchasing Alliance at a cost not to exceed $70,000 for February 12th.
Any other questions or comments on that? I do have a question, Tony. I mean, there were a lot of like extras.
Yes.
And I don't know, is this normal in this type of truck? I'm wondering, do we need all the extras?
Yes, all the extras are like everything from outfitting the dump bed itself to putting the strobe lights on all the doors for just added protection. The snow plows included in there, salt spreaders included.
Okay,
So you're getting a complete outfitted truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, because I want to make sure that, you know, it's not something we don't need.
Correct.
Okay, just what we need.
Everything, yes.
Okay, any other questions or comments on that? Okay.
Okay, the next one is I move to approve the municipal expense portion of the handicap ramp construction on State Route 65 as part of the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation milling and resurfacing project at a cost not to exceed $2,790.70 for February 12th.
Okay, any questions or comments on that? Jane?
I don't remember talking about this at Public Works, the Route 65, where they, do you remember this? Thank you, because I thought maybe I was, I missed something. They do it Route 65 again?
I'm unaware of anything that they've done on the route. Tony may have this may be a follow-up.
I went to a meeting about a month ago and met with the county, and they're going to resurface our boulevard down there. And when they resurface, you have to bring handicap ramps up to specs. And at this location, those ramps are the borough's responsibility. They're willing to, I think, split it in half with us, and this is their portion, our portion that would be needed to be paid to do that.
When is 65 getting done?
They're saying spring.
The whole thing?
Oh, I don't know. It's just Bellevue, I think they said. I think they're skipping over that one.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know.
Yeah.
What are they closing down Bellevue?
Yes.
From the whole Bellevue?
Well, I don't know if they're going to do it at nighttime. They didn't get into specifics on what, there might be lane closures or something, but probably for the milling and the paving.
But they said we didn't discuss this a lot.
Right, this came from their office, which I turned it over to Whitney there, and she passed on the
Yeah, it showed up, if there's something, just so that everybody knows while I'm here, there's something that comes up between your committee meetings and that and this, and the public meeting, I will try to place it on the agenda, especially something like this, because it seems a little time sensitive. If it's something that can wait, because there are things already that can wait, but I think something like this is a little bit more time sensitive. There was some correspondence from PennDOT in there, and they would like a response by February 15th. So I couldn't wait until the March meeting, and I do apologize for that.
Whitney, wasn't there also a resolution that they were wanting from us as well?
No, there isn't a resolution. They just want a written response to their office, whether or not, because if we don't, they're going to bill us either way, essentially. So the options are limited, unfortunately. But this is time sensitive. That's why it kind of showed up, and I apologize.
Where do we have handicap ramps?
It's any that our responsibility. I think this is the one at Kendal in High River Boulevard.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember which ones it was.
South River.
They're responsible for crossing their road itself. We're responsible for crossing our roads.
Riverview Avenue.
Then we said
Yeah, Kendal Ave and Riverview.
Oh, okay.
okay, that's that.
Kendall.
That's me having an
That,
extension.
okay, that seems reasonable.
Yes.
Well, should we pass this tonight, so they can get it in there?
Well, we got to the 15th. If we vote on it the 12th, then we...
As long as it's dated for the 13th, it shouldn't be a problem. The day after the council meeting, the date of the letter, I think, is more important than when it actually, gets to their office. If it gets there on a Friday or a Monday, I don't think that'll be a problem.
So you can have kind of it all ready to go.
Exactly.
Okay, Matt.
No, I was just going to say, any other questions or comments on that?
The last motion is I move to authorize the Borough Engineer to prepare all documentation necessary and place for public bid 2013 Pavement Maintenance Program for February 12th.
Questions or comments on that? Do you have the list
I do.
of all those that we are anticipating paving?
John and I have it structured so that from the committee meeting, we know that South Fremont Avenue from Jefferson to Lincoln, essentially, will be put out for bid as well. And if I'm talking too quickly for the news reporter, please let me know. West Avenue between Riverview and South Jackson as well. North Sprague Avenue.
Sprague.
Sprague. North Sprague Avenue between Lincoln and Tees. Those are the primary roads that will be paved. Then we have a couple of alternates. Gay Lane in its entirety, as well. The Memorial Park driveway as an alternate. What an alternate bid does, I don't know if everybody's familiar with. This is John's.
Go ahead, let John explain, since he's here.
Sure, give me something to do.
Yes, exactly.
An alternate is something that you would have the ability to choose or not to choose, depending on the cost for the work. Meaning you'll have a set of base bid items, meaning the streets that the DAS listed as the base bid, those will get done. Alternate one would be Gay Lane. Alternate two would be the Memorial Park driveway for however long it's going to be repaired. Depending on where the prices are, you'll get to pick and choose the base plus any one of the two alternates. And if everything falls within the budget, we get it all done. And if something is outside of the budget, we just take the base bid and either one or two or none of the alternates.
Forgive me, I don't know how I missed the alternate Memorial Park. We didn't talk about that at the meeting?
We talked about it a little bit. It was, if we get the grant, we had put $25,000, I believe, aside for it, and we had to wait and see how the grant goes, but we wanted to put it up on if the grant comes through list. So it's there.
Okay, I didn't know when that happened, but I'm glad you did. I personally would probably pick that above all the other ones, so if I had had that on the list, I would have said yes to that one. I'd rather put that number one, is what I'm saying. But we still can debate that at the time, right, when we find out all the prices.
Right, once we get those prices in, you'll have the ability, depending on where they fall, you'll have the ability to choose the base bid plus any or none of the alternates.
Okay.
Now keep in mind, we applied for a CITF
Right.
for the park, right? So we don't have that back yet, so that's one of the reasons we're making it alternate. Because it's what, 25,000.
That's how much the grant is, 25,000?
No, the grant is $250,000.
Right.
Yeah, we only have $150,000 to do that.
Right.
So we're trying to get like 6 of them or 8 of them done.
Plus, if you can't afford, or if the budget can't afford the alternates, you have an idea of what it costs to do that portion of the work. So the next time you go out, you're going to be close to what you should be paying for that work.
Who's working on that grant? Sorry, I missed that.
That's submitted that.
Okay.
I did hear back from the county. I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but I did hear back from the county and it wasn't approved for funding. They wanted a better leverage. I think the total project cost was $300,000 and the total grant request was $250,000. So they wanted a little bit more leverage from the community. So there might be some ways to rework that in the future. If this, as an example, and sorry, because I know that you want to speak, but if this comes back and it is only $25,000 and you decide to pave it, that shows a little bit more leverage from the county's perspective. That might be a little bit more competitive for next round of funding, which they'll be announcing. So.
Is that next round of funding this year?
Yes.
Is it too late to modify that first request?
They've already made their funding awards, and I believe the person that I spoke with at the county said that they get 10 applications and they have to reject 9. So you have to figure out a way to make your project very competitive. Okay. And that's a good way to do it, is start to chip away and make some investment so that they can come back and
so we have to take that seriously and go back at it.
Exactly. We have to look at it better. And maybe we should look at how that one person got it and look at what they've done and try to duplicate that. Or try to, you know what I'm saying, look at that and see what made them successful and duplicate it.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, no other questions or comments for our Chair of Public Works? Thank you, Jim. Any special committee reports? We have 3 resolutions, and they are all for approval for today. The first one is concerning it doesn't state this, but the advertising for a part-time library employee. So, do we have a motion?
Make a motion. This is for the hiring of the bid.
No, this is, I know, but we have to reword it for the advertising for, so if we could approve resolution number 0113 authorizing the advertising for the part-time library employee not to exceed, how much does that take to advertise? How much, do you know, Jane? Can we say it's $200? I have no idea. We need the amount. It shouldn't exceed 100. Okay, let's put $100. Okay, can you say so moved? Okay. So, discussion on the motion? Could you repeat the motion? Okay. I move, a motion has been made to approve for resolution number 0113, authorizing the advertisement for part-time library employees not to exceed $100. And Jane's smiling at me, so I screwed it up.
It's not a resolution, we're just making a motion.
Am I just making a motion? Okay.
It's got resolution number out there.
Okay, we'll do that. A motion to authorize the advertising for part-time library employee not to exceed $100. Thank you for the correction. Thanks. And Jim seconded that. Okay, discussion on the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilman Scisciani.
Aye.
Councilwoman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Braunlich.
Aye.
Councilwoman Heffley.
Aye.
Councilman Helbling.
Aye.
President Woshner.
Aye. Okay, do we have a motion for the next resolution?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 213, authorizing the hiring of 3, doesn't say 3, but part-time firefighters for action today. Their names are on the resolution and their salaries.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, what was the resolution number on that?
0213.
Okay. I thought you said something about a 3.
Oh, there's 3 of them on one.
Oh, okay. Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to approve resolution 0213, authorizing and directing the hiring of 3 part-time firefighters. Discussion on the motion? No discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Braunlich. Councilwoman Heffley.
Aye.
Councilman Helbling. Councilman Scisciani.
Aye.
President Woshner.
Just to make it easier on her, it's okay if she doesn't say councilperson all the time, right? She just said Mr. and Mrs.
She can say whatever she wants.
I prefer
Okay.
that.
I thought maybe you tried it.
Okay.
No.
All right.
But thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, thank you.
Can we put that in one since we don't have, we didn't, this one wasn't a resolution? On this next one, the part-time administration assistant, we're changing that to 0113 since we don't have an 01. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve 0113 for the hiring of part-time.
Go ahead.
Intern. Administrator.
Okay, do we have a second? The motion has been made and seconded to approve resolutions 0113 authorizing and directing hiring of a part-time administrative assistant. Discussion on the motion. We don't know what this is, so what is this? Is this the intern? Is this the intern? Oh, okay.
Is that the process?
Yeah, we call it an intern. Okay, is everybody okay with the compensation for that intern?
What was the amount?
$10 an hour, and I just swear that I said he would be ready for $8 an hour, so that's, I don't know if he told anyone else, he did tell that to me. Brittany, how'd you come up with the amount?
When I spoke with Doug last, that's the amount that I got.
Is that what he told you? No, $10. Okay. No, we're going to be applying for an LGA internship, but at that point, that would be half. This one here, he's been free. Yeah, he's been free since fall till now. And we would like to keep him on to possibly start on our code enforcement project. Is that correct? So that's what, we're dealing with. Any other discussion on that? Does anybody have a problem with that? Okay. No other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nay, nays? Roll call, please.
Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Braunlich.
Aye.
Councilwoman Heffley. Councilman Helbling. Councilman Scisciani.
Aye.
Councilwoman Viscusi. President Doscher.
Aye.
Woshner.
No, everybody's name.
Start with
No, it's not.
I apologize.
I have just second thought. We haven't said, okay, how long or the number of hours. How many hours is he working at this point?
At this point, he is here 2 days a week, but when he is here getting paid, he'll be here 3 days a week, but for 3 hours.
3 hours each day. So he's 9 hours.
Yes.
Okay, and we have money in the budget to cover this?
I would assume so, but I don't know.
You know what, Doug did say that there was money in the budget, so.
I would expect it would come from the same place that the shared intern would be paid out of, and I can look at it.
No, Doug did say that, that there was money in that. So, but if you can check on that, just to make sure. Okay, that would be our 3 resolutions. Any old business? Okay, no old business. New business, I see we have some new business added on here. Okay. Do we have a motion to authorize for Quaker Valley for an extension of, oh, okay. there a second?
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to authorize the interim manager to submit a letter of request to the Quaker Valley Council of Governments for an extension of 60 days for funding that will complete the concrete flatwork for the Bayne Park Project Phase 2. Discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Braunlich. Councilwoman Heffley. Councilman Helbling.
Aye.
Councilman Scisciani. Councilwoman Viscusi. Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
President Woshner.
Aye. Okay, we have a second motion. Do we have a motion to authorize the interim manager to submit a letter of request to the Quaker Valley Council of Governments for an extension of 90 days for CD 38-3.11.4 housing demolition of 537 Madison Avenue?
Make the motion.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to authorize the manager for an extension of 90 days for the housing demolition. Discussion on the motion?
Does this cause any problem with us in the getting an extension like this?
I can answer that. These two motions were at the request and with the discussion of the current contract for the skate plaza expires at the end of February. Obviously, the work isn't done because of the weather, we need an extension. The demolition project was authorized back in August or September, but because of the contractor's scheduling or lack of scheduling, that work was not able to be scheduled before the end of the year. College requested that the borough request an extension to make all paperwork good, and so we're going to have the appropriate letters drafted and make the appropriate extension requests, and so everything should be fine. It's a paperwork issue. So that's what these two are. Thank
Okay,
you.
this is that they're not going to look unfavorable to us because we had to ask for these extensions.
No, well, I was going to say they shouldn't because we talked to them about it, they acknowledge the issues, they are requesting this paperwork be filed so that they can take the appropriate action. If we don't request an extension, then we would be in trouble, but we still need to request an extension.
I did speak to the demolition contractor this morning. He's ready to roll next week. So I will still talk to Mr. Jaquila tomorrow to see if we can maybe even not need that extension for the demolition. He's currently on the job in Leedsdale, but he said he can come over here and start this demolition within 5 to 6 days. We get the contracts and the permits in place. So I'll be talking to Mr. Jaquila tomorrow.
And I'll kind of leave it up to you guys to decide whether or not that extension.
I won't do that. No.
Okay, any other questions concerning that motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Nays? Roll call, please. No, there's no money involved. Okay, then were there any nays? Okay, no nays. Are there any visitors who wish to speak? But you have
Yeah, new business. There is, we got a letter from our councilwoman, county councilwoman, Amanda Green Hawkins, and there is going to be a public hearing on the 7th at 6 o'clock about Marcellus Shale.
Marcellus Shale.
Yeah, I'm going to say that word. So if any of the citizens are interested on fracking in Pennsylvania or even close to their neighborhoods, it'd be a good idea to, it's at Robert Morris. I'm sure it'll be in the local newspapers, but it's going to be on the 7th at 6 o'clock. Public hearing.
Robert Morris New Campus, is that what you're saying?
It says at Robert Morris, yeah. The International, located at 119 Campus Drive in Township.
Okay.
Where there is to fracking.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask the chief, I saw on WTA tonight at 6 o'clock, the newscaster issued a message for Bellevue residents. Do you know anything about that? Yeah.
I made a post of the scams with just advising residents to pay attention to the door-to-door soliciting. With the weather, we've had a couple incidents. We made a couple arrests of last night, so just following up on it. It was not, they probably just reacted to the Facebook post.
Could you elaborate on that some? What kind of scams are going around? What should we be looking for?
Well, it was the door-to-door solicitation, and it was just advice to tell people to not let people in their houses. The one incident that we had last night, that they were actually legitimate, but they were forcing their, having residents have them into their homes to try to sell their product. There was advice to tell residents that we did not, you can't do that without a permit in Bellevue, just keeping people on their toes.
Yeah, on that solicitation, do they have to have permits?
Yes.
So they have to stop at the Borough Hall?
Yes, and they did not have a permit for Bellevue.
Well, which I, the ones that do that, so the waiver is asking for the permit. They will show it.
Or ask them for information, take their turn, call them back.
They also have to have a residence or a business within the municipality to solicit.
No, that's not.
That's correct. They can't go from Corey office and go door to door.
Now that was through Nixle. Can you tell people that they can subscribe to that particular alert that we would get? I mean, because it alerts us on weather conditions and...
Sure. Nixle.com. Simply register your email address, cell phone, that number if you wish. And once you're registered, then you can choose the communities that you want to receive information from and what information you want to receive. To date, we have, on the Bellevue Nixle, we have close to 2,000 registered users. So I'm not sure they're all Bellevue residents. I'm sure the media attaches to it. But, keep residents informed and updates from the police department. And if there's something going around, something newsworthy, we'll post on the Nixle site.
Okay, thank you. Any other new business?
I have one other thing.
Haven't you spoken enough today?
I know I said enough, but I just wanted to inform council that we're getting close to the deadline for the submission of the feasibility study with respect to the consent order. You're going to be seeing a lot of information come across your desk with respect to please review this. We need some input on certain documents, and there will be meetings that will be scheduled between now and July. So I just want to let council know that the heat is being turned up. Alcosan is going to be requesting an extension to their consent order. They have not received it yet, so they still have to go with the original submission dates and deadlines that they have underneath their consent order. So I just wanted to inform you that there's meetings that will be occurring. I'll send out as many emails as I can informing you as what's going on. But over the course of the next 2 or 3 months, I'll have some packages of information to go through the committee, and then that will come across your desk. That will require action on your part to be submitted to them to meet the requirements of that consent order. So I'll let you know that there's still a lot of work that is yet to be done, and not to get complacent with respect to the consent order. So we're trying to meet those deadlines as best we can. That's all. Thank you.
Please keep us on track. I appreciate that. So it doesn't, we don't let it slide past us. Anything else important? Any other new business? No other new business? Are there any visitors who wish to speak? You would have 2 minutes if you could step up to the podium. You know the drill. At this point in time, we're going to go into an executive session for personnel issues. And then we will, after we're done, we will come out and either take any action, if any action is needed, and then adjourn the meeting. So if you would like, you can stay here. We will be going in the back room. So hopefully it won't be very long, but I do expect it to be well over half an hour. Do we have a motion to pay our former DAS Douglas Sample for his total accrued unused sick time in the amount of $5,766.25 at the next pay date?
I have to make a motion.
No, I was going to say something, just say so moved.
So moved.
So we have a second. Okay, motion has been made and seconded to pay Douglas Sample for his total accrued unused sick time in the amount of $5,766.25 at the next pay date. Discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Braunlich. Councilman Scisciani.
Aye.
Councilman Helbling. Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Heffley. Councilman Viscusi.
Aye.
President Woshner.
Aye. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn? Okay, second? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Okay, this motion, this meeting is